Hey everyone, welcome back to a bouldering session with me. Thanks for the love and tips on my first bouldering sesh. One thing you guys asked last time was to include V grades. I'm not really certain, but I'll try guess them, so take it with a grain of salt. First, I started with a warm-up. The colour grading here goes yellow, blue, purple, green, orange, red, black, white. I made sure to get a very good stretch in here. Next was this blue overhang. It was a nice one to start on, making sure I was deliberate with every move. Lucas told me I should put less easy beginner climbs in these sessions, so this is one of the only blues you'll see. I felt like putting my left leg up on that small hold was a bit overkill. I probably didn't need to, but what's done is done. No need to overthink it. Next up was this green climb in the cave section. I saw this one on Instagram, so I was keen to try it earlier in my session before I got tired. I wasn't super confident though because the start looks a bit tricky. You actually have to start with a knee bar, and once I was in this position it was much easier to get to the next hold. As you can see, my feet do cut away from the wall and I had to pull myself back towards it. And then I'm not super happy with my feet placement in these next few steps. Because as you can see here, my feet kind of blocked me from pushing up to that next left-hand hold. So you can see that I missed it at first, and I feel like if I was tired I definitely would have fallen at this point, but it was still fresh, so I gave it another try, and then my feet were in a more stable spot. I didn't realise I was out of shot here, but you'll just have to take my word for it, I did it. Then I tried this interesting green climb. It looked pretty easy to me, so I thought I'd have no issues in flashing it. My confidence must have gotten the best of me because I immediately fell at the start whilst trying to hastily grab that pinch hold. The second attempt, I tried to balance better on the volume before reaching for the pinch hold. And then that next cluster of 4 green holds weren't that great either. They weren't awful, but they weren't as juggy as I would have liked them to be. And then getting to the top was just a little bit of counterweight on the left and pushing towards the finish hold, which was a good hold. This next climb caught my eye because it had a nice mixture of different types of holds. I don't know what those big ones are called, leave it in the comments if you know. I felt very cool here, digging my heel in to push towards the right and grab the next hold, that is, until I slipped. Then again, I felt very cool here in this motion where I grabbed up and then shifted my weight to the right. That looks very coordinated. And then I reached for the big hold and I slipped, so my ego is kept in check again. And instead I pushed off a higher foothold so I'd be closer to the top. This one was a little bit of a roller coaster of a climb, but in the end we did make it. Here's a fun one. I saw this green dyno on my friend Jenny's Instagram, which is why I decided to head to this gym to try it in the first place. It looked like a lot of fun because the start hold is pretty high, so you have to give it a good run up. At first, I just wanted to check how high up I actually needed to be reaching. I took a few attempts because I was hesitant, but I gained confidence when I got closer, and so then I gave it a proper go, and I made it. With these easier dynos, they'll be graded so that the dyno is the hardest movement in the climb, and then once you nail that move, the rest of the climb is much easier.
눈이 마주칠 때면 미쳐가 매일 밤 가슴이 터질 때다 너도 날 똑같이 사랑해줄래.
Then I tried this orange climb. This one is interesting because it goes around a bend and the two holds above, are they called slopers, were very non-grippy. So even the start position felt super awkward to me. And then trying to push my leg up towards that larger hold was tough as well. I felt like I couldn't even reach it properly, let alone grip it. So I tried again and I turned my knee outwards this time so I could stay closer to the wall. And I think I got a bit closer there, but not at all still. Then, since my body is leaning to the right, I thought I'd try and grab the edge of the grey volume with my left hand first, but alas, that was not the way. I decided to climb up on the blues to test out the higher holds, and I do this usually to collect more information about the best way to approach the climb, and then I can put the pieces together at the end. In this case, it felt very difficult to grab, so I decided to give up on this and move on. Then I tackled this orange climb with a lot of pocket holds. Today was not my day because as soon as I got in that start position, I already felt like my arms were burning and my finger strength was probably not enough to grip in. The first thing I tried was swapping my hands in the middle pocket so I could get to the next hold with my left hand. I did try it again, and this time I managed just to grasp on, but it made me tired, and then that dynamic movement of reaching up meant I ran out of gas and I didn't quite make it. So next I thought it might be easier to reach with my left hand to the higher pocket, but that meant I needed to cross my hands on the holds. And when I tried this, it felt pretty impossible to execute, but I gave it another go after a short rest. And this time I leant my left leg against the wall to counterbalance, and this was better, but I was still too tired to hang on. I can't stand the thought of you. Then I thought I'd try from the middle just to practice the move up to the next hold after I figured out the start. I love moves like this because it's a huge satisfaction once you get it. And then my next challenge was how to get to the top holds, which I just could not do. So I was already pleased with my progress here. I decided it was time again to move on. 2 failed attempts already.
Yeah, you never did. Yeah, you never did. Never did.
The next climb was a crimpy one, but I was determined to get it. The holds higher up weren't very comfortable, and they felt like they were really pinching on my fingertips. So I was really just trying to haul myself up. And then when I reached for the left, my fingers weren't positioned very well on the right actually. So I felt like my grip was slipping, and so I just had to jump off here. I felt like in my first attempt I had focused so much on hands and I left my feet behind. So this time I tried to move my feet higher up onto the next volume. But then I realized that once my feet were both up, my arms had to bend more and I was put in this chicken wing position that was a lot tougher on my muscles. So then I tried to reach to the left first and then move my left foot up higher. But in this case, I was rushing it and I tried to make a sudden movement which dislodged my fingers from the crimps. Then I tried again to bring both legs up, but with my knees turned out. But again, I found myself in that chicken wing position. Then I tried to get my shit together and I figured out I needed to move my left hand and then my left leg across the volume first. This way, it was much easier to get myself in a position to reach up for the finish hold. But you can see that those crimps are not super easy to hang on to, and the finish itself is not an amazing hold either, so I was a little scared just trying to go for it. The guy at the gym suggested I put my right foot up against the volume to stabilize myself, so I tried that, but even then at first it felt like a weird position to be in and I didn't feel very confident. He also suggested trying to flag my left leg and then reach up with my right hand, but I felt very unstable, and you can see I didn't even properly flag my left leg. It just ended up straight back down. Then I watched a girl do this climb, and she did what I first attempted by pushing her toes against the crimps on the right volume. But when I went up there, it didn't feel as easy as she made it look. And once you're up there for a while, just trying to figure out the best position, your fingers get so tired. So when I reached up, I still couldn't finish, but I was like, nope, you failed 2 climbs already. You have to get this one for your morale. So by now, the girl was also watching and cheering me on from the mat, which was so nice. And in the end, I knew I had to do this climb. So I did make it, and this was my successful attempt. Then I went back to the orange pockets, and this time I tried something different. I actually tried bumping my left hand to the far hold instead, and it felt so much better for my grip. In my first attempt, I was able to get further than I had before, so it must have been the motivational boost from doing the previous climb. In the middle pocket, I swapped my hands, and the middle pocket was actually quite nice and deep. Then I could push to the next pocket, but by this point my arms were struggling. I reached to the next pocket after that, just trying to get as close to the finish as possible, but this wasn't the best idea because the hold was terrible. I really tried to hang on, but I was happy with my progress. Then I attempted this bouncy orange, which I had initially avoided because the small holds looked quite intimidating. My friend encouraged me to try it because he said it was an easier orange, and he was right, because I managed to get up pretty easily, and then the finish was right there. So this shows that you should just try anything despite how scary it might initially look, and regardless of if you think you'll fail or not. So that was a great lesson for me. From there, I built up the courage to try a red climb, but I must have been delirious because I couldn't even properly start. I got some tips from my friend to try pushing up with my right leg towards the next crimp. So here I tried to lean left and then get my right leg up. And then I felt like I just couldn't push any higher, so I called it on the red, but it was step-by-step progress. Finally, even though I was very tired, I wanted to try this orange cave climb because it had this cool start where you have to twist around. I kind of struggled with this twisting move, and I spent a good deal of energy trying to prop myself up backwards. So by the time that I was in the right position, I didn't really have a lot of energy to reach up for that next hold. My next attempt was trying to turn later so that I would naturally fall into the backwards position. And this did help me conserve energy, but clearly I had not had enough rest here because I just couldn't. For my last attempt, I tried to use my core to push upwards closer to the wall and then reach for the hold, and this time I made it. But then I was looking for the next hold, which was just out of sight beyond the volume, and I felt like I was so far away, which signals end of the session for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this bouldering session, and I will see you all again next time. Bye!